You are listening to PastThink.com audiobook. Please like and subscribe, thank you. Chapter 43. The gay leopard meets Dai Zong on a narrow road, the sick Guan Suo meets Shurxiu on a big street. Likui and Inspector Li Yun fought for about 7 bouts, without either gaining an advantage. Zhu Fu at last also took a halberd and rushing between the two stopped the fighting. No more fighting, he said, listen to me. Teacher. I am much obliged to you for your instructions, and shall always think of repaying you for favors received. My brother Zhu Gui received orders from Song Jiang, the commander-in-chief, at Liangshan Marsh to come here to help Li Kui. If you should arrest Li Kui and send him to prison, how could my brother face Song Jiang if he had not helped Li Kui to escape? I am responsible for the plan to get you to drink the drugged wine. Our elder brother wanted to kill you, but I interposed and saved your life. We thought that you would pursue us as you would not care to return to the Yamen without obtaining your revenge. But when I remembered what favors you had bestowed on me in the past, I decided to stay here and speak to you. Teacher, you are an intelligent man, and will know how difficult it will be for you to explain to the magistrate how your policemen were killed and the prisoner escaped. You will undoubtedly be tried and nobody will help you. Would it not be better if you come with us to Liangshan Marsh and there join our band? What do you think of that? Inspector Li Yun thought the matter over for some time, and at last said, I am afraid that they will not allow me to join their band. Zhu Fu laughed at this question. Teacher, have you not heard the reputation of Song Jiang, who is famous for welcoming and receiving heroes from all quarters? Inspector Li Yun sighed, I am homeless and without a place of refuge. I, however, have neither wife nor child to be arrested. I will go with you. Li Kui laughed. But, elder brother, why didn't you say this before? He then exchanged salutations. All 3 men then pursued the cart of Zhu Gui, which they met halfway. They journeyed to Liangshan Marsh, and upon arriving there Li Yun and Zhu Fu were introduced to the leaders by Zhu Gui, who mentioned their nicknames, Blue-Eyed Tiger and Laughing Tiger. Li Kui then told them of his adventures and of the death of his mother, and Song Jiang laughing said, You are a wonderful fellow. You killed 4 tigers and have now brought 2 living tigers to our stronghold. Everybody was pleased at the news, and a feast was arranged to celebrate the occasion. Wu Yong spoke, Our affairs have recently been very prosperous, and we must have a great reputation everywhere. Great heroes have come here from all quarters because of the great virtue of our 2 chiefs, Chao Gai and Song Jiang, and also because they have heard of our great happiness. I propose that we establish 3 more inns in the surrounding country, so that we can spy on travelers, and also look out for any more heroes who may pass this way. They can also inform us of any movement of troops, so that we shall not be taken by surprise. On the west side there is a very wide area, where we can well have an inn in charge of Tong Wei and Tong Meng with about 10 men. An inn can be established on the road to the south, in charge of Li Li, with about 10 men. Shi Yong and 10 more men can start an inn on the north road. We must arrange boats and signaling arrows. We must also establish 3 barriers on those roads for our outposts, and we can place Du Qian in charge of them. We must also place a number of men under Tao Zhenwang to deepen the creeks and waterways, and repair the roads in the surrounding area. He knows how to undertake that kind of work. Our granaries and storerooms must be kept in order by Jiang Jing. Xiao Rang can have charge of all our means of communication between the various units. All engraving work on tablets etc. shall be in charge of Jian Daijian. All clothing, armor, flags, etc. shall be under the control of Ho Jian. Li Yun shall have charge of all building constructions. Ma Lin in charge of all boats, Song Wan and Bai Xing to be stationed at our main entrance, the Jinsha Bank, while Wang Ying and Jing Tianshou be stationed at our outpost at Yazui Beach, Mu Chun and Zhu Fu to be in charge of the treasury, Lu Feng and Guo Xing to be in charge of the assembly hall, Song Qing to be in charge of all rations. These appointments were agreed to, and arranging the details of all these staff matters took fully 3 days. Everything went smoothly at Liangshan Marsh, and the men were drilled every day. One day Song Jiang spoke to Chao Gai, Wu Yong, and other leaders, just now we are all assembled at this place in the cause of justice, but our Gongsun is absent. He went to Jizhou, Zhili province, to visit his mother and teacher, and said that he would return in 100 days. He has now been absent for a long time, and yet no tidings has arrived concerning him. We had better send Daizong to make inquiries, and then we shall know what has happened. Daizong agreed to do this, and early the following day he departed for Jizhou. On the way he took only tea and simple food without meat. On the third day he arrived at Ishui County, and there happened to hear a man say that Li Kuei had escaped a few days ago after killing many policemen, and that Inspector Li Yun had disappeared, and nobody knew where he had gone to. Daizong was amused at this. He had left the town, and was proceeding on his way when he saw a man in the distance approaching who was armed with a spear. The man, seeing Daizong traveling at such a great speed, called out Daizong's nickname, Divine Traveler. Upon hearing this, Daizong turned his head to look at the man. He saw a big man with a straight nose and a big mouth, a handsome countenance, a slender waist but broad shoulders. Daizong retraced his steps and said to the man, "I do not seem to remember you, and yet you have called my name." The man quickly replied, "You are the Divine Traveler," and he thereupon kowtowed. Daizong returned the compliment and then asked, "What is your esteemed name?" "I am Yang Lin of Zhangde Prefecture, Henan Province. I am a highwayman and people call me Gay Leopard. A few months ago I met Gongsun at an inn on the road, and he told me that at Liangshan Marsh there are many heroes who are keen for justice. He gave me a written introduction for Liangshan Marsh and urged me to join your band. I did not dare to go there straightway. He also informed me about the inn kept by Zhu Gui, who was always looking out for suitable men. He also told me about you. I did not expect that heaven would favor me and enable me to meet you like this today. I have orders from Song Jiang to proceed to Jizhou and find out what has become of Gongsun," said Daizong, "and I never expected to meet you." "I know the Jizhou district very well," replied Yang Lin, "and if you like I will accompany you to that place." "That will suit me very well," said Daizong. "After I have found Gongsun we can proceed to Liangshan Marsh together." Yang Lin was much pleased at this. Daizong now took off his charmed puttees, and they both traveled along the road at an ordinary pace. They stopped that evening at an inn, and there Daizong told Yang Lin that he was a vegetarian. Yang Lin agreed to eat the same food. The following morning when they had started off, Yang Lin said, "I am afraid that I am only holding you back, because I cannot travel at your speed. Would it not be better if we each went our own way?" "I can fasten 2 of my charmed puttees on your legs," said Daizong, "and then we can both travel quickly." "I am only a common person," said Yang Lin, "and am afraid that I could not equal your skill in rapid locomotion." "Never mind," said Daizong, "I have a means whereby any man can travel with me. I myself am a vegetarian, but that will not be any obstacle to the other people." He then took 2 of his charmed puttees and put them on Yang Lin's legs. He had 2 on his own legs also. He then recited a spell breathed on the puttees, and they both started off. Daizong controlled the speed at which they traveled, whether slow or fast. They conversed as they traveled, and did not notice how far they had gone. About 10 a.m. they came to a post station, which was surrounded by hills. Yang Lin knew the place as Inma Valley, and told Daizong that the hill in front was generally infested with brigands, but he did not know whether there were any there now. The hills had a fine appearance with many pointed peaks and streams winding in all directions. Just as they reached the foot of the mountain they heard gongs and drums being beaten, and saw their way obstructed by a body of about 100 men. In front were 2 big men armed with swords, who called out, "Halt! Who the hell are you and where are you going? If you pay our road toll we will spare your lives." Yang Lin laughed and said to Daizong, "Elder brother, you can now watch me kill those pricks." Seizing his spear he advanced. The 2 men noticed the fierce look of Yang Lin, and one called out, "No need for fighting. Are you not Yang Lin?" Yang Lin stood still as he recognized them. The men now advanced and saluted. Yang Lin beckoned Daizong to approach and introduced them to each other. This is Deng Fei, of Xiangyang Prefecture, who is nicknamed Fiery-Eyed Beast. He is skilled in the use of a chain, and in fight nobody can get near him. We used to be in the same band, but I have not seen him for 5 years. I never expected to meet him in this place. Deng Fei asked Yang Lin who his friend was, as he was evidently no ordinary person. Yang Lin introduced Dai Zong, and after the usual compliments he then introduced the second man. This is Meng Kong of Jinding Prefecture, Shili Province, and he is a boat builder. Once a commander-in-chief was worrying him about the work, and he killed the man, and then sought refuge in the mountains, and lived as a bandit. Because of his great size people call him Flagstaff. Dai Zong was much pleased and asked, "How long have you two gentlemen been doing business at this delightful spot?" "I will tell you the truth," replied Deng Fei. "We have been here for more than a year. About 6 months ago, we met on the west side of this place a man named Pei Xian, a Jingzhou Prefecture man, who had been an official clerk, and used to write out excellent official indictments in this division. He was well known as an upright official, and could not be tampered with, and so he gained the nickname of Iron-Faced Clerk. He was both wise and brave. A very covetous prefect was however appointed to this prefecture, and made false accusations, and banished Pei Xian to Shaman Island. On the way the escort passed this place, and we attacked them, killed most of the men and rescued Pei Xian. We now have about 300 men here. Pei Xian is now our leader, and he is very skillful with 2 swords, one in each hand. We request you two gentlemen to come with us to our stronghold, where we will introduce you to our leader." He then ordered horses for Dai Zong and Yang Lin, and the party soon reached the stronghold. Pei Xian had already been informed by messenger of the newcomers, and he met them at the entrance. He was a fine type of man, and had a very dignified appearance. After the usual introductions and salutations he invited them to come into the main hall, where he asked Dai Zong to take his seat facing him with Yang Lin, and the others at the sides. A feast was arranged for that evening, and during same Dai Zong gave free accounts of the power of the bandits at Liangshan Marsh, and eventually suggested that they should join them. "Here we have about 500 men, and 300 horses, plenty of food and treasures. But if you do not disdain our humble establishment you might introduce us to your leaders, and we might be of some use to you," said Pei Xian. "Our 2 leaders, Chao Gai and Song Jiang, would treat you well, as they are keen on having heroes like you in their band," replied Dai Zong. "If you go it will add brilliance to our present splendor. At present I am on my way to Jizhou Prefecture to find one of our leaders Gong Sunsheng, and upon my return journey I will call here, and if you will be ready we can all depart together to Liangshan Marsh." They were all pleased with this proposal, and continued with their feasting and drinking. The next day Dai Zong and Yang Lin went on their way, and the bandits began to make preparations for their early departure to Liangshan Marsh. Dai Zong and Yang Lin soon reached Jizhou Prefecture, and upon entering in there Yang Lin said, "As Gong Sunsheng is a keen Taoist moralist it is very probable that he is staying in some secluded spot in the mountains or forests, and not in this town." Dai Zong agreed and they left the inn, and went outside the town. They traveled in the surrounding country, and continually inquired for Gong Sunsheng, but nobody had heard of him. The next day they extended their journey, but again without any result. On the 3rd day of their wanderings Dai Zong said, "Perhaps there will be somebody in the town who knows him. Let us go there." They made inquiries in the town that day, but without success. As they were going along the main street, however, they saw a procession with music. In front were 2 jailers carrying presents and rolls of silks, and at the rear was a large umbrella of blue silk under which walked an executioner. The latter was well dressed in blue silk. His eyebrows were long and his beautiful eyes were tilted upwards. His skin was light brown and his mustache was scanty. He was a Henan province man, named Yang Xiong, and his cousin had been prefect of Jizhou Prefecture. The new prefect knew Yang Xiong, and had appointed him superintendent of 2 prisons, and also chief executioner. He was skilled in military exercises, and because he had a yellow skin people called him Sik Guan Soa being the name of a strong man of Tang dynasty. Behind Yang Xiong in the procession was the executioner carrying a sword. An execution had just been carried out in the town at the crossroad, and on his way back to his home many people had congratulated him. He had to stop in many places on the street and drink wine with his numerous friends. Just as the procession reached them, Yang Lin and Dai Zong saw a band of about 8 men emerge from a side street under the leadership of a man called Zhang Bao, whose nickname was the Goat Kicker. This man was in command of the city guard, but the men with him were a gang of rowdies who lived by demanding money from all classes of people both in the town and outside. The officials had failed to suppress their depredations. Many people were afraid of Yang Xiong, but Zhang Bao was not of the number. Knowing that Yang Xiong would have received many rolls of silk on Wei, Zhang Bao had got these rowdies together in order to create a disturbance on the street. Yang Xiong had stopped to drink wine, and Zhang Bao pressed his way through the crowd and said to him, "Congratulations." Yang Xiong returned the salute and replied, "Brother, please join me with wine." "I did not come for a drink," said Zhang Bao, "but to borrow 100 strings of cash from you." "Although I know you," replied Yang Xiong, "I do not remember having been very intimate with you, so why should I lend you money? Today you have fraudulently taken valuables from a great many people, so why should you not lend me some money?" asked Zhang Bao. "These things were duly presented to me as gifts by my admirers," said Yang Xiong. "So why do you say they were fraudulently taken from people? You are a military man, whereas I am in charge of the prisons, so that we have nothing to do with each other, and you have no claim on me." Zhang Bao did not attempt to reply to this, but turning round told the rowdies to seize the rolls of silk. Yang Xiong protested, saying, "You have no manners." He was going to strike the rowdies, but was seized hold of by Zhang Bao, but 2 of the rowdies grabbed hold of his arms. Several men advanced in threatening attitudes, and Yang Xiong's men bolted upon seeing that Yang Xiong could not move, and also had to submit to the indignities. A man in the crowd carrying a load of firewood, however, jumped forward to assist Yang Xiong. He called out, "Why do you beat this official like this?" Zhang Bao stared at the interrupter and said, "Beggars should mind their own business. This has nothing to do with you." The man was enraged at this insult, and seizing hold of Zhang Bao's hair threw him to the ground. The rowdies came to the rescue of Zhang Bao, but the man fought them with his fists, striking on all sides. This had taken men from holding Yang Xiong, and he, freeing himself, also joined in the fight. The rowdies were soon knocked down, and Zhang Bao, seeing the position, made his escape. Yang Xiong was now very angry and pursued Zhang Bao. The men with the booty were in front, and when they turned into an alley, Zhang Bao followed them with Yang Xiong running after him. The man who had changed the position kept on fighting the rowdies who were left behind. Dai Zong nodded to Yang Lin and said, "What a fine man. He draws his sword to help another in trouble on the road." The 2 advanced and spoke to the man, "Listen to us. There has now been enough fighting." They conducted the man into an alley close by, where they found an inn. Yang Lin had carried in the man's load of firewood. After the usual salutations, Dai Zong said, "We are quite strangers here, but we witnessed your chivalrous action, and being afraid that you might kill one of the men, we intervened. Please drink wine with us, and let us become intimate friends." "I am much obliged to you, gentlemen, for amicably settling that affair," replied the man, "and many thanks for your invitation." They all sat down. Yang Lin summoned the waiter, and giving him a tael of silver told him to serve whatever food was available. This was soon placed on the table with wine, and answering a question the guest stated, "My name is Shi Xiao, and I am a Nanjing man. I have had some training in military exercises, and I love to help people on the road who are in difficulties. Because of this, people call me Desperado. I went with my uncle on a business trip, but he died on the way. I went on with the business, but lost all the money so that I could not go back. Therefore I stayed here, and eke out a livelihood by selling firewood. I tell you all this because of your helping me in that matter on the street." "We are on business here," said Dai Zong, "and are pleased to meet such a chivalrous hero as you. You merely sell firewood here, so how can you hope to become wealthy? Would it not be better if you became a brigand and enjoyed life a little?" I am only skilled in the use of stick, said Shirshio, but as I have no other ability, how can I improve my position and enjoy life? You need not say you have no other ability, said Daizong. It is only too true that the government is corrupt and the officials are traitorous. I had a friend who through temper got into trouble, but he joined the bandits at Liangshan Marsh, where he now has good clothing and plenty of money. When government affairs are put in order, he will undoubtedly be recalled and receive a good post. Shirshio sighed. I would like to go, but I do not see how it could be done. If you want to go, I could introduce you to the bandits. I dare not ask the names of you two gentlemen, said Shirshio. Daizong disclosed their names, and offered Shirshio 10 taels of silver, which however the latter accepted only after much pressing. Just then they heard men outside, and looking round they saw Yang Xiong with about 20 policemen. Daizong and Yang Lin were afraid of the police, and made their escape. Shirshio went forward, and asked Yang Xiong where he was going. The latter said, Brother, I have been looking for you everywhere. Why did you come in here to drink wine? When I was held up by Zhang Bao and his gang, I could not have got free had you not intervened, for which I am much obliged to you. I went to arrest Zhang Bao, and get my presents back, and so had to abandon you for the nonce. These men all came to my assistance, and when I had recovered all the stolen things I came to look for you, but could not find you. I however heard that you had come here with 2 men, so I came here to look for you. I just came in here with 2 strangers to drink wine, and I did not think you would be looking for me. Yang Xiong asked for his name, etc., and Shirshio gave him the information, and also his life's short history, which we have just read. Yang Xiong then invited all the men to drink 3 cups of wine, and this having been done they all departed. I think that you have no relatives in this town, said Yang Xiong, and I therefore suggest that we become sworn brothers. Shirshio asked for his honorable age, and upon learning that he was 29, he said, Well, I am only 28, so I must ask you to be seated, and receive my kowtow and salutations. This was done, Shirshio giving 4 kowtows. Yang Xiong was much pleased at this and ordered the waiter to bring more wine. He said, Younger brother, we will celebrate this by getting drunk. While they were drinking wine, Yang Xiong's father-in-law named Pen came in with about 5 men. What do you want, sir? Asked Yang Xiong. I heard that you had had a fight on the street, said old Pan, and therefore I came to find you and help you. My younger brother here came to my assistance, said Yang Xiong, and we beat our assailant Zhang Bao so that he would run away upon seeing our shadows. Just now I have become the sworn brother of this gentleman, Shirshio. That is splendid, said old Pan. When my men have had a drink they will depart. The men were served with 3 cups of wine each, and then left. Old Pan then took his seat between the 2 friends. I am much pleased that you have become a sworn brother of my son-in-law, said Pan. Having your assistance he will fittingly be an employee in the yamen, and nobody will dare try to deceive him. What business are you engaged in, may I ask? My father was a butcher, said Shirshio. And do you follow the same occupation? Asked old Pan. As a boy I, of course, got to know all about the trade, said Shirshio laughingly. I followed the same trade, said old Pan, until my son-in-law here got a position in the yamen when, of course, I had to give up that trade. When they had drunk some more wine together Yang Xiong paid the bill, and they took their departure, Shirshio shouldering his load of firewood. Upon reaching the door of Yang Xiong's house he called out, Wife, come and be introduced to my newly sworn brother. A voice inside the curtain asked, Who is this new sworn brother? You need not ask questions, said Yang Xiong, you can come and see for yourself. The curtain was raised and a woman stepped forth. She had been born on the 7th day of the 7th lunar month, and therefore had the name of Qiaoyun, or clever clouds. The 7th month is called the clever month. She had first married an official clerk called Wang, who had died after 2 years of married life. Her second husband was Yang Xiong, and they had been married almost a year. Shirshio saluted her, but she objected, I am much younger than you, and cannot accept such marks of respect. We have become sworn brothers today, said Yang Xiong, so that you are the elder brother's wife, and therefore can receive at least half of these salutations. Accordingly Shirshio kowtowed 4 times. The woman responded with 2 kowtows, and then invited them inside. She also prepared a spare room for Shirshio's use. We need not go into many details. The next day Yang Xiong, before he left for his office in the yamen, told his wife to see that Shirshio had whatever clothes he required. When Dai Zong and Yang Lin had left Shirshio in the inn, they went outside the town, and found an inn there. The next day they continued their inquiries for Gong Sunsheng without any result. So they gave up their search, and returning to Yinma Valley they joined Pei Xian and his company, and started off with them for Liangshan Marsh, where they were all duly introduced and placed on the strength. Old Pan discussed with Shirshio the question of re-establishing a slaughterhouse. He said that behind his house there was an alley with a dead end and also an empty house. There was also a well, and he thought it a very suitable place for a slaughterhouse. Shirshio could live on the premises. Shirshio was much pleased at the proposal, and agreed at once. Old Pan made inquiries and soon found suitable assistance. He suggested that Shirshio should keep the accounts. They soon purchased the stock in trade, knives, benches, etc., and after selecting a lucky day they started business. All the neighbors and relatives came to take part in the feasting on the opening day. Matters proceeded smoothly for a long time. One day during the winter Shirshio went into the country to buy pigs, and upon his return 3 days later he found that the butchery was closed. Upon going inside he discovered that all the tools and fittings had been removed. He thought, there is a saying, men cannot be good for 1,000 days, and flowers cannot bloom for 100 days. Yang Xiong has to go to his office every day, and cannot look after the home affairs. His wife must have been talking behind my back, and finding fault, because I have been away for 3 days. He has suspected me, and has closed the business. I will not trouble to even ask for an explanation, but will just return to my old home. So he made up his accounts, changed his clothes, packed up his own things, and entered by the back door. He found that Old Pan had prepared a vegetarian feast in readiness for Shirshio's return. Old Pan said, "You have been a long way, and must be very tired." "Sir, that's my duty," replied Shirshio. "Now I have squared up the account book, and everything is in order. If there is any error may heaven and earth destroy me." "Why do you talk like this?" asked Old Pan. "There is no necessity for it." "I have not been home for nearly 7 years," said Shirshio, "and as I must now go I have squared up all the accounts." Old Pan laughed loudly and said, "You are mistaken. Please listen to me. Revenge is sought, so toll the knell. And send an unfaithful monk to hell.